Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to It's Only Cooking, and you're back in my kitchen again. I'm John Hruska. Remember, the H is the only thing that's silent, at least for the next half hour. So we're going to get cooking on a couple of nice dishes that go together. One is chicken marsala. I love having this dish. I love it at restaurants. You can make it with beef too, but we're going to make it with chicken today. And fingerling potatoes. It's a great recipe I found a couple years ago. Did it for Christmas with prime rib. It was so good. Now I do it whenever I get a chance to get some good fingerling potatoes. So we're going to start with this dish because it's going to take the whole entire time that it's going to take to make the marsala chicken. So what we did is we've washed the fingerling potatoes and put them in a pan, a metal pan, that they'll fit in pretty tightly because these are not young potatoes. These are actually full-grown fingerling potatoes. And you can see by these fingerling potatoes, they're small. These are fully grown the way that they're going to look, and this is the size they're going to be. So it's a fully mature potato. So what we're going to do is by having these tight in the pan, it's going to help us because they're going to steam each other a little bit in the first part of the process of cooking. Because they're different sizes, as you can see in the pan. They're all different sizes. How do you get them all to cook at the same time, get nice crispy skins? Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to steam them first, then roast them. We've got our oven preheating at 450, so this is going to get it blazing up there. We're going to make a nice little seasoned salt to go on them when it's finished. So we'll have that already, and that'll be cooking in the meantime while we're working on the chicken marsala. So let's get ourselves going with this. We have our mise en place in place, as we always try to do. So I've got the things for the potatoes. It's minimal amounts. It's the potatoes, vegetable oil. You want to use vegetable oil because of the high heat point, high smoke point, especially when we're going at 450 degrees. And we have out our herbs we're going to use. We're going to use thyme and some rosemary. And you can use anything. You can use sage is a good one to use. That goes great with beef. But that's all we're going to need, and some kosher salt. So we'll get that started, and then next we have everything in place for the chicken marsala. Of course, you got to have the marsala wine. That's the main character along with the chicken. I butterflied most of it or filleted it. I'm going to show you my technique. And we'll talk about that in a minute. I've got the flour. That's just to dust it so that it's dry and you get a good sear in the pan when you're cooking it. Garlic. We've talked about the garlic before. This recipe calls for let's just say 3 cloves of garlic. So what does that mean by that? Does it mean this clove of garlic or this clove of garlic? They're both cloves of garlic, so you kind of have to pick the amount that you want to put in. So we'll put that in there too. I do have, in case the sauce a little thin, I've got some cornstarch. We'll mix that with water. I've got the mushrooms. I've got a gourmet batch of mushrooms along with some bellas just to give it some variety. I like to put spinach at the very end just to give it something to brighten, make it a little bit bolder and nicer looking. So I have that, and I destem just because I like the look of it better without the stems. You can leave the stems if you want. If you like stems, leave the stems. They're edible. Nothing wrong with it. I've got a beef broth, a real thick, heavy beef broth that I have here. At another show, I believe I showed you how to make a really nice beef broth from your own vegetables and your own base bone broth. This is just one of the ones in the jar because it's just a cup is all I need. And then that goes with the marsala. The other thing we're going to use is something that's really great is what's called a shallot, and these are part onion, part garlic, I guess you could say. It's very delicate. We're going to cut it very finely, and it's again a real delicate taste, and you don't want to overcook them. Salt and pepper, and that's about it. That's about all we need for this dish. So let's get the potatoes going first. We're going to put, let's say, I don't know, a couple tablespoons of oil on it. That oil is going to be on there through the whole dish, and it's actually you're going to see it at the end. So you want to just move it and get it all around them. This is going to steam, and this oil is going to help them cook, and it's going to get them really, really finished to the inside to the out, even though some of the potatoes are larger than others. So what we're going to do now is we take a piece of foil, carefully measured, and we're going to cover it as tightly as we can with the foil. And that's going to allow this to steam, and that's what you want to get. The steam is the first part of the cooking process. Now that's a great dish that goes with as I said, I did it with prime rib. It goes with this chicken marsala. Anything you want to have chicken with, and you can use anything you want for the seasoning salt, if you will. So we're going to just set that and wait for the oven to preheat. It's up to, let's see, we're close, 4:30. So what we do then is we're going to take this rosemary here and just pull some of it off. You know, use as much as you want. There's nothing measured here. It's what you want. It's just whatever you want to have on it. And then I'm going to pull some of this thyme apart. Let's see. We'll pull some of the stems off here, and we use some of the leaves for that too. That gives a nice flavor. It's not overpowering. You know, it's for people who just want to have a little zip and a little seasoning, just a little different flavor to it, rather than just salt and pepper. In fact, I don't believe I'm going to put any pepper on this at all this time. So we'll see how that goes. You can put pepper on if you want at the end. So we get these all kind of cut up here. You can put more in if you want. Let's put a little more in there of the thyme. There we go. There's our potatoes saying, let's go, let's go. So let me turn around and throw those in real quick so we're ready. We give these 450, 15 minutes. We're just steaming them. You're not going to overcook them at this point because you're going to still do another 20, 25 minutes without the foil on after we get finished. So now that we've got this, the trouble with fresh herbs is when you rough them up like this, they get a little wet. So it's hard to sprinkle them over something again to separate. Well, guess what? You put a little bit of salt in there. I don't know how much. I don't know, maybe a little more. A couple sprinkles. And then you cut that into it. And you just make it, and what you're really doing is getting the moisture off the herbs, and you're also getting the salt mixed in with it. So you can, when you go to put it on the potatoes, it's going to be a nice mix. Again, pick the herbs you like, what you want to have, and you can change the flavor to your taste. We're going to set that aside for about another half hour or so from now when we actually pull the potatoes out. So that's ready to go. Next thing we're going to look at here is our chicken itself. Again, as I mentioned to you, you can use beef, but everybody seems to like chicken a little more in this household, so we're going to use chicken. Now, I've got most of it done here, but I want to show you what's kind of going on. I like to take, and I like to use a fillet knife. I've got this. I got a sharp one. These are really sharp. Now, remember, I told you before about my secret weapon. This is my secret weapon. This is what I use. Took it over there for a close-up. My secret weapon for getting that knife razor blade sharp, which when you're going to do a fillet cut, you don't want that thing slipping. You don't want it dull. You don't want it ripping the chicken out of your hands. Now, I'm a big proponent of not cutting your fingers off. So I tend to be a little more careful. I don't, do this tried and true method of, holding my hand over this. I kind of get it started. Now, let me get this off here. I kind of like to get it started on the end here. Get it started, and then get my fingers out of the way. So, this knife is pretty razor blade sharp. I got a sharper one, but I only pull that out when I'm totally sober. So you can get out of this. You want to get these things, I don't know, 1/4 inch. Now, you don't have to fillet them. Let's say you like to pound your chicken, thin. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and pound your chicken thin. I don't care to do it because I can never seem to not make a giant mess. And then also you get chicken patties that are yay big. Yeah, you can cut them, but you kind of lose some of the charm of a nice piece of a medallion of a chicken. So, you can get you don't want to make them so thin that they overcook when the other ones are cooking. So that's basically what you do. What you do at this point is you're going to want to make the chicken so that it will cook and brown in the oil. You want to have a nice little brown sear on the chicken, and that makes it pretty. Even though you're going to have a thick brown gravy, the Marsala gravy on it, it still looks good and the texture's good and it makes the flavor just a little bit better. So here's what we do. We're going to take the chicken and we're going to place it in the flour. Just a quick dredge. Doesn't have to be fast. I mean, it doesn't have to be thick on it or anything like that. We're just going to put a little dredge, shake off the excess. You're just, again, making it dry. This isn't going to put the crust. It's the cooking process that's going to do that. So we're going to do this here. One more here. This is a pretty good size amount of food for, 2 or 3 people. I mean, everybody's going to get a couple of medallions. Maybe there's one extra left over. So you can make it larger, just increase the size you're making it. It's really, actually, when you start doing it, it's a pretty simple dish, and I didn't think it was. And when I found out, I couldn't believe it. I don't have to go to a restaurant and pay, $25. I can make this at home for way, way, way less. And a little more salt. And a little more pepper. Not much. Our family's not a pepper family, so that makes it rough. Okay, this is prepared and ready to go. What we're going to do is I'm going to get everything set up so we can go over to the stove now. And so we'll take a quick break, and we come back, we're going to start cooking. See you in a minute.
Your Marine Corps' way of life is to defend the American way of life. Every day, we take a stand for our nation, for each other, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Okay, welcome back, and we're going to get started. I'm using a cast iron Le Creuset. You can use any heavy pan you have that will heat and that'll hold the heat. You don't want to get this too hot. We're going to use clarified butter because it doesn't burn. It's got a high smoke point, doesn't burn, and this dish calls for several different layers of butter every time you cook something. But the first one's a little bit of the clarified butter and some olive oil, again, to give it enough room or enough moisture in there to cook the chicken. So, put the chicken there. I got my tongs. I think I have everything I need. What's our temperature at here? We don't want to get too hot, but we want it hot, 141. We just need a few more seconds on that, maybe turn up a hair. And let's put our clarified butter in there, get that going. Again, this is carefully measured. It's a dollop. I don't know, what do you call it? A tablespoon maybe. And probably a tablespoon of olive oil. What you want to do is you want to have it little enough that it's not really frying it, so to speak, but it's giving it a nice sear, if you will, because you want there to be a Maillard reaction, which is what gives you that brown on the chicken. Now we're getting close. I don't want to start it too soon. Guess while we're at it, what I can do is get my garlic ready. We're going to need that in a moment anyway. So here I'm putting a couple pieces of garlic in there. We're going to put it in our little dish here. So let's cut that up. I think we got enough there. Okay, looking great. I think we're getting to a right temperature now. Let's give it one more crack. Perfect, 269. Let's get this chicken going. You don't want to crowd these either. Let's get them in there, and let's not make them too tight to one another. So there we go. We don't want to put these too close together. We want to give them room. We can do 2 batches. It won't hurt anything. So we'll do 1 batch here. We'll get it going. So let this thing get cooking. Let it get hot. And you're just going to take your time. You want to get a nice little cook on your chicken. Hey, while you were gone, the potatoes hit their 15 minutes, and we took them out. They were steaming great. Take the foil off and put it back in the oven for about another 25 minutes. So here, we're looking pretty good on these now. So we'll let this go, and then when we pull these 2 off, I'm going to get the last 2 on there, and then we'll get to the kind of the fun part. We just keep putting butter in it, and it lathers it up, and we finish it with a little butter even. How about that? So we do everything we can to get the butter in there, but that's what makes this rich Marsala flavor. You've already got the wine. That's a pretty nice, light, bright wine. It's a fortified wine. So you need to have something to offset that butter. That's for sure. You're gonna have a lot of it. Now, if you can see in here, I don't know if you can see into the pot. Let's see. I'm gonna. You know what? We're gonna risk it again for the show. I'm gonna give this thing a little turn. I want you to see what we're getting in here. All these beautiful brown bits up here in the pan. You're getting some wonderful brown pieces of morsels in there. Those have all the flavor, all the butter, all the olive oil. They have all that great flavor you're going to get, and that's what's going to make this dish really have that depth of flavor. So you're not going to just taste the butter. You're not going to just taste the Marsala wine. You're going to taste that caramelization of the chicken stuff, the chicken broth, if you will, and the beef broth, and the shallots and the mushrooms. So they all are going to have a layer. You're building a layer each on top of the other, and you should be able to taste each layer of the food you're cooking. And that one's pretty good right there, and that one's pretty good. I think we're about ready for this. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay. At this point, we're ready to put in, ready for this, more butter. Again, it's clarified butter, so it's nothing's gonna happen with it. It's not gonna burn like most would, but you definitely don't want to put it so little in there that it does cause your beautiful little caramel bits there to blacken. So we're gonna put the mushrooms in there. These are, like I said, this is a gourmet mix. There we go. Now, when you first put it in, don't be alarmed. These mushrooms, even though they're full of water, they're greedy little mushrooms. They want to grab that oil and they want to suck that oil right up. So your pan's going to get pretty dry. Don't panic. Don't add a bunch more oil. That'll just get you in trouble. You want to just keep stirring them. Keep stirring them pretty good. Turn the heat down. They'll eventually give up. Heat will win, and they'll give up their water. Now, at this point, you can add, and I mean the smallest amount of salt. That helps mushrooms in their goal of giving up their water. Water is the enemy of all this type of cooking. Anything with a sauce, anything where you want to have the Maillard, that little browning reaction on the chicken or on a steak, water is your enemy. Same thing with onions. As soon as you take out the water, all of a sudden you have a flavor. You have a sweet onion. You take the flavor out of mushroom. A lot of people don't like mushrooms. They think they don't like mushrooms because they've never had a mushroom probably that's properly prepared. When you cook these and get the flavors coming through of the mushroom and then you add to it a wine or a broth, you're just not going to believe. These are sponges once you get the water up. They take on the flavor. That's what gives your flavor all that body and all that depth in your gravy. Okay, we're getting to a point. We're getting close. You got to kind of keep it moving. I know you got to pay attention to this. That's why we've got a dish like potatoes. Another thing goes with Marsala, of course, noodles. Pasta's easy. Throw a boiling pot of water on, make some angel hair pasta, make whatever kind of pasta you like, but angel hair is pretty easy because you can throw it in at the last minute. Mashed potatoes, great choice, but this is a little bit easier. There's no dairy in it. A little bit different dish, so it works pretty good. Rice is a good combination with chicken Marsala as well. So you can mix it with anything you want. If you don't want any of those starches, make some Brussels sprouts. Make some beans. I mean, you can do a lot of different things with that. You already got a nice, heavy, full meal with that. Okay, these mushrooms are looking just terrific now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pull these little guys out because we do not want to cheat the shallots out of anything they're getting. So we're going to pull these out. Okay, we got this point we want. We want to get a little bit more butter on this so that we can cook those shallots without any risk of burning the shallots. And now we'll put some, I don't know, what do you think? Tablespoon? That looks pretty good. We'll put that much in, and now we'll get to stirring this. Again, careful. Turn that heat down. Keep an eye on it. You'll know when these are getting done. These do not take as long as onions. You can cook these, saute these shallots, maybe takes a minute and a half, a minute. I don't know, you know. And people will tell you, oh, do them for 3 minutes. Well, you can. The problem is there won't be anything left. They're that delicate. So we're getting that. We're getting them down. They're getting that smell's starting to come out. It's a little onion, a little bit of garlic, and that's not enough. We're going to put more garlic in it. So we'll get that going in just a second. We're close. Yep, looks pretty good. Let's throw that garlic in there now. Now, the way you tell when the garlic is ready, you'll smell it. It releases that fragrance. Once it releases it, be ready, because you're going to have to start adding things quick. Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Smell that fragrance coming up now, that garlic fragrance. That's good. Again, that's what gets those, that's what wakes up that garlic and gets it so you can taste it. Now, we're going to get this beef broth going because that's what's going to make it all happen here. So we're going to put that in. That's going to deglaze the pot now. Okay, here we go. We're going to carefully measure. Look at, I don't know, about a cup of Marsala wine there. About looks pretty good. So put that in. Let's get that heat up again. And again, we're going to deglaze this pan. What that means is we're going to get all those little fun little brown bits I showed you. We're going to get those off the bottom of the pan, and those are going to become part of your sauce. And believe it or not, guess what we're going to do? Add more butter. Okay, we got that going. So we're going to let this cook a little bit, just a little bit to get it down, because what happens is you just put in there alcohol. So you want to make sure that you let that alcohol have a chance to get out of there. Now we're going to give it a quick taste just to make sure it's going to be hot. Perfect. Okay. You know, there's a show on. It's this little guy I watch. He gives me a lot of clues here. We're going to slip the chicken and the mushrooms all back in here. We're going to make sure it gets all over this again. He says, you know, you put a wine in there, make sure it's a wine that you drink that tastes good. If the wine doesn't taste good when you drink it, heating it up, cooking it ain't going to make it taste any better. Okay, we're going to take a sprig of thyme. We're going to throw that in there, believe it or not, and our last dollop of butter. So we're going to do that. We're going to put it in there and just let it, so you know we didn't cook that chicken, maybe not quite all the way up to 155. So we're going to put that in there, and just for a moment, turn the heat down. Let that just simmer a little bit. We may need to put a little bit of cornstarch and water. So this is a good technique to show you anyway. We're going to take the cornstarch. So we're going to take, and you got to mix it up real good. That way you get no lumps. You don't want a whole lot of lumps. That's a different TV show. So get that going like that. Yeah, it's looking good. Now you don't want to put this in too fast. Just a little. Oh, that might be too much. Let's hope it's not. Otherwise, we're going to have a bowl of paste. And it starts working right away. It doesn't take long. Yeah, there we go. It's starts to thicken up. It doesn't take very long. Yeah, you want it to be able to move like gravy, but you don't want it to be so thin that it runs off like a sauce. So let's let it keep going. Might need a little bit more. Okay, let's just let it do its thing. Okay, yeah, that's getting good. That's starting to get good there now. Okay, now what I like to do, take this, like I said, take a handful of spinach, throw it on top. Put the lid on. Let's let it do its thing. We're gonna turn it down to a dull roar there. There we go. And at this point, we should be getting to time for the potatoes. Let's get those guys out of here. Let's see. So we're gonna pull them out. And again, if they're not, it's not the end of the world. Let's not everybody get too shook up here. We're going to take the largest ones. Let's see if this goes right in. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they're ready. Perfect. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. So we'll see you back in a few minutes.
Canine Stray Rescue is Oxford's own local dog rescue. Call them at 248-628-0435 or go to their website dogsaver.org and click on the Canine Stray Rescue League link.
Okay, so while you're away, we pulled these out, and we're going to place the potatoes right in our little bowl here, and all that oil that's in there, we're going to put that over top because that's going to help that little seasoned salt kind of stick to it real nice. Okay, let's give these a quick little flip around here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, the fun part. We get to sprinkle, make it rain. And there you go. Those things are good. They can sit now and wait for about 5-10 minutes. You're letting them cool down a little bit. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to plate the chicken marsala. And here we go. Should be some green wilted. Oh, yeah. That's beautiful. Beautiful. So we're just going to give it a light little stir. Oh, yeah, that's looking good. So now we got some bright green spinach in there, cooked perfectly. Spinach cooks in like microseconds, so it doesn't take much time. So what we'll do is take a nice piece of this chicken here, if I can get a hold of it. You know, I had planned to use my tongs. Here, we'll put one piece there. There's another nice piece. I'm gonna put that. I'm making a mess of the dish here. Let's get a couple of mushrooms on there. I think that's gonna. Wow, that's hot. Put a few mushrooms on there. Oh yeah. A couple more mushrooms, might as well. I'm the first one getting a bite, so I'm going to get more mushrooms. Okay, and then we're going to throw a little bit of the spinach on there just to make that look pretty. And then we'll take a couple of these potatoes out here. We'll take this big fancy one here and a pretty one here and another little one there. And that's what we do. So there you have it, a little chicken marsala with some fingerling potatoes. You want to, you can dress it up and throw some parsley on there and some things like that, make it pretty. But for now, it's time to take a bite and see what we got. Okay, so now we're going to pull this in close range so I can get to from it's only cooking to it's only eating. Let's try, I want a piece with a lot of the herbs on it. I'm going to try this piece right here. Let's try a little bite of oh. And you can see that that's, first off, I'm going to burn the inside of my entire mouth out with that. You can see all the spices and salt and everything out. Let's get a taste of that, see how it is. The outside crust isn't hard and but it's just got a nice texture to it. The seasoning on it is perfect. You can add more if you want. It's just got a little hint of the rosemary, a little bit of the thyme. But now let's get to the magic part here. Let's get a little mushroom in there. Let's get a little chicken. Put a little spinach on there, a little mushroom on there. We now go to the part I like best of It's Only Cooking. It's only eating. Delicious. What it has is, because I was careful with the salt, it's not too salty. If you want to add more salt, somebody does, you can, but it does not have too much salt. It's got that great rich flavor from the Marsala wine, and the butter gives it that nice top, and it just coats your mouth with that velvety goodness. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you all again next time on It's Only Cooking. Bye now.